But first of all, let's have a look at Kamala Harris appointing her new vice presidential candidate.
Hi, this is Tim.
It's Kamala Harris. Good morning, Governor.
Good morning, Madam Vice President.
Listen, I want you to do this with me. Let's do this together. Would you be my running mate and let's get this thing on the road?
I would be honored, Madam Vice President.
The joy that you're bringing back to the country, the enthusiasm that's out there, it'll be a privilege to take this with you across the country.
Well, let me tell you, I have just the utmost respect for you. I have really enjoyed our work together. You understand our country. You have dedicated yourself to our country in so many different and beautiful ways. And we're going to do this. We're going to win. And we're going to unify our country and remind everyone that we are fighting for the future for everyone. So let's get out there and get this done, okay?
Let's do it. Do the work in front of us. Let's win this thing.
That's right. All right, buddy. I'll see you soon. Take care. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah, that was definitely not staged at all, was it? John, a very good morning to you.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. I mean, I know that they have to do stuff like that, but I wish they wouldn't, because it kind of detracts from whatever it is they're trying to do, because it just looks so lame, doesn't it?
Well, look, I perhaps like you, I sort of grew up and was trained in sort of what you might call the traditional media, you know, like we're doing now. Yeah. Social media is not really my thing. I'll be very honest with you. I certainly use it. It's a good tool, but that seems to be, you know, the platform for the majority of people these days where they get their news and information. So I guess it was intended to appeal to those who use that as sort of their primary source of news.
Right. I mean, I guess the big question for a lot of people on Kamala Harris and now on the appointment of this guy, Tim Walz, is who's that actually appealing to? Because a lot of people in the Democrats that I've spoken to are a bit worried that this is very much the left side of American left politics. So, you know, we're not talking just about, you know, keeping it real with Joe Biden and the policies that he's had. It's about moving quite significantly to the left of Joe Biden in all kinds of different ways.
Well, if you'll indulge me for just a second, there was when I was reading more about Walz and his background and that kind of thing, there was a parallel that came to mind. You remember the character that Tom Hanks plays in Saving Private Ryan?
Yeah.
And indulge me just a little bit here, because his troops have a betting pool going on about what he did before he got into the war. And it finally comes out about 3/4 of the way through the movie, after he's been shooting up a lot of people and blowing up in explosions everywhere. He was a English teacher at a high school in Pennsylvania. And in addition to that, he was a baseball coach. So we're talking about Tom Hanks's character in Private Ryan, but there are a lot of parallels between that character that Hollywood came up with and this pick for vice president. This is a guy who is a soldier, and he's a football coach, American-style football coach, and a high school teacher. And I mean, that's the kind of background that he came out of, and a lot of his views, I think, have been informed by his experience as a small town, rural Minnesota resident and teacher. And I think it's the kind of character that would appeal not only to Democrats, but a lot of Republicans out there.
Well, that might be the true story of his background, but in recent years, he's been a little more radical than that. For example, making Minnesota a trans refuge state, insisting that there was gender-affirming health care, making sure that public schools stock period products in boys' bathrooms, and also calling, I think, for the defunding of the police during Black Lives Matter. So, I mean, that doesn't sound like small-town Minnesota to me.
Well, he is also, and if I'll have to take at face value what you've just said. Some of that I'm not familiar with, because I'm still learning myself a bit about his background and the details. So I'll be honest. But what the other thing that I think is worth sharing with you is that he is an avid hunter. He's an enthusiast about hunting. He's very comfortable in the use of firearms. But he's also a supporter of reasonable gun reforms and gun control and things like that. I do know that he has also, as far as his role as governor is concerned, he has funded the police, and he's put more police on the beat for community policing, and he's provided more money for police training, and he's provided money for things like body cams. So, you know, it may be that he has said one thing at one time, but what he's done as governor, I would think would be things, again, that would be appealing to conservative and Republican voters.
Well, he was at a Pennsylvania rally just the other day. Let's have a look at what he said.
Donald Trump sees the world a little differently than us. First of all, he doesn't know the first thing about service. He doesn't have time for it because he's too busy serving himself. And make no mistake, violent crime was up under Donald Trump. That's not even counting the crimes he committed.
There was a bit of confusion over Pennsylvania, wasn't there? Because at one point it looked as though Josh Shapiro was going to get the nod, and somehow that didn't happen. But they had a big rally there anyway.
They did. Well, it's, you know, Pennsylvania is a critical state in this election. There are about 5 of them. I'm sure you know this, and your viewers, I'm sure, are familiar with this by now. But Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Georgia, where I'm from, there are about 5 or 6 of these states where it could go almost either way. That the margins are so close. And I have to say, if I can get a plug in here for overseas voters, in Georgia, Donald Trump lost very famously in the last election by about 11,000 votes. Yeah. And as you're familiar with that phone call that was recorded and released, and he phoned up the election official and said, I just need 11,000 votes to get over the edge. Can you find me 11,000 votes? And in that election, there were 18,000 votes that came in from overseas. 18,000 out of 5 million. So that's how close the voting is in a battleground state like Georgia. 5 million votes and 11,000 won it for Joe Biden in 2020. So Democrats Abroad is here working our butts off to find every American in the UK and in other countries that is eligible to vote, to be sure that they're requesting their ballot. And they can do it, Republican or Democrat, can go to votefromabroad.org and request a ballot. It doesn't matter what party you're in, and you can get your ballot and participate in the upcoming election. Yeah, there was a big fundraiser for the Trump campaign here, wasn't there, just a couple of months ago, and they raised, I think, about $3 million for Donald Trump's campaign. Are you going to do something similar? See how far you get? We had, you might appreciate this, at the same night as that, I think that fundraiser was something like $100,000 a plate or something astronomical. At the same night, we did a comedy night with tickets were $25 a ticket down in Greenwich, and we had about 60 Democrats that came out to have a good laugh that night. So that's sort of more our style. Right. And I mean, is the reason that Tim Walz has been picked slightly because he is the complete antithesis in a way to Kamala, and he might even be a better performer than her, because, you know, she's getting a bit of a reputation while she's not Joe Biden, which is a good thing for the Democrats. She's got a bit of a reputation for being a bit lightweight on a lot of things. Well, this guy certainly has the chops in a lot of different ways. You know, he is, as we talked about earlier, he's serving in the military. He's been a teacher and a football coach. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos that he's posted with his daughter. They're hysterical. So he's got a great sense of humor, and certainly we need that in an election. But I think he brings a real common sense view about the problems that we face in America, and I think he's the right person for the ticket, and he brings a very strong set of experiences to the role. Yes. Well, we'll see how it all goes. Looking forward to the debates if they when they happen, and also Elon Musk is now going to be interviewing Donald Trump, I think, on Monday. Well, that'll be interesting. That won't be exactly a hostile environment, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But I'll be watching. Yeah, absolutely right. John Scardino, thank you very much indeed. Spokesman for Democrats Abroad UK.